what's really cool about this is, you've had so much experience in sales and, like you said, putting on these events and finding talented people. But I think a lot of people that are growing the real estate team, like they don't, because you didn't come from a massive real estate background, meaning you weren't a high producing agent. And one of the hardest lessons that I learned or had to learn is my ability of being a great realtor was absolutely irrelevant of my ability of being a great team leader, right? And I don't think people quite grasp that. So I really want to go deep in this because, again, a 50 million jump in a 12-month period, and also from somebody that again, kind of jumped into a different space, right? So, and
I had never sold a house before, right?
Yeah,
so you can do it too.
Yeah, no, I love it, right? So I mean, walk us through kind of, I know that this would
what
be
I did differently,
a week-long process of an interview to go super deep, but walk us through kind of like when you started that, like what did you identify? What was working well, what wasn't working well, and what to focus on to take it to that massive of a level of a jump.
Absolutely. So when I came on board in 2015, our profit margin was about 24%. We did 1.6 in GCI, and it was by any means it was a great team, right? And Leo did a really good job at setting up all of these multi-transactional clients. So we had predominantly we were a listing business. We listed for small home builders and also for wholesalers. And we had a team of 5 agents. 3 of them were working. The other 2 were kind of just floating. And what I saw first and foremost was, how come we're not going after everyone's SOI? Number 1. Number 2, we're not holding anyone accountable. And number 3, like we had all these great lead sources, right? But like nobody was doing anything with it. We had every single agent had 25 leads per month, and we had broken it down by 15 were internet leads, 5 were from In-House Realty, which is a sister company to Quicken Loans. They referred us about 5 leads per month per agent. And then we also had, like at any given time, we had 200 listings on the market, and we had all these sign calls coming in and nobody answering the phone. We didn't have a dedicated ISA. We didn't have a dedicated system for when somebody calls in what to say and how to move that process forward. So that was the first thing I noticed. And I thought to myself, okay, the best way that I can maximize my time here is to just hold everybody accountable. So first things first, I came in, I created a minimum standards agreement, and that was an agreement between the agents and myself. And if they did not adhere to those agreements, they were not a good fit for our team anymore. And what was on that agreement was that everyone had to do 2 deals per month, a minimum of 2 open houses per month, had to return all phone calls, emails, text, Facebook message, anything and that had to do with communication had to be responded to within 24 hours, whether it was from me, a lead, another team member, a transaction coordinator, a lender, anybody. 24 hours response return time. And that was pretty much it. And then we had a three times a week, we had a meeting, sales meeting that ran about 30 minutes. So Monday was a recap of what happened over the weekend. Wednesday was motivational Wednesdays, where we watched Tony Robbins, or we would revisit our 90-day goals, or we would have guest speakers such as like yourself to be at our team meeting to motivate, inspire, and hold each other accountable. And then Friday was scripts and dialogues. So we were meeting more often, we were practicing more often, and we were really honing in on every single lead. I had a conversion rate, kind of like a report card that I put together at the end of every month, and I would share it with everybody in the room, like, okay, this person, you got a 30% conversion rate. What's up with that? Or this person, you've got a 10% conversion rate. And for those that had a conversion rate jump the next month would get special milestones. Like I would send them to a Tony Robbins event in person, or I would pay for their conference registration to like a KW conference, for example. So that was kind of the nuts and bolts of it. It was really holding people accountable. That was like my one and only sole job, was to hold people accountable to create more opportunities for us.
Yeah, love it, love it. So then, when it comes to that, there's really two things that come to my mind. Of okay, so you put in some of these policies. How do you inspect what you expect? Like to ensure that they're returning every text or every email or every lead. Like how what was that inspection process like to hold them accountable with that? And let's kind of hit that first before I get into the second topic.
Yeah, well, it was a lengthy process. I mean, if you are not updating your boomtown, then it's an obvious, right, that you're not getting back to these people. If I emailed you a lead on Monday and by Wednesday you don't give me an update, I'm going to email you and say, okay, what happened to that call in that I gave you that lead? What's the status? So it was just constant checking up. I mean, that was, again, I wasn't selling, so that was my one and only sole thing, was to constantly keep people accountable.